I've been telling you about M-Drive. Take 2 supplements every morning. More energy, strength, stamina. Check it out. mdriveformen.com today. Refine your prime. All right. NFL Films over 30 years. Greg Cosell. We brought you on yesterday. Got a ton of feedback on. I just love having you on. So he's going to be on now, this point forward, until February. And get people all the time in the grocery store, the car wash. They love Greg Cosell. So before we get to our NFL stuff, because you got some really good breakdowns on film, you, yesterday after you were on, after the show, handed me a pamphlet, and you said, I love this, and you said, okay, I've graded all the college guys. I've looked at all the tape, so let's go through them. Let's go through the guy I think is the best prospect since Andrew Luck, Trevor Lawrence at Clemson. What does the film say on Trevor Lawrence?
Well, I've got it right here, Colin. I figured, since I gave it to you, we would go to it. We would go to the material here because I watched 3-4 games on Lawrence, okay, obviously later in the season, and he showed the attributes that bode really well. Now, he's got to play another year, another 2 years, actually. But the thing that really stood out to me, and I made this note and I kind of highlighted it, was poise and composure in the pocket. Really impressive for a young quarterback because he's essentially a pocket quarterback. And the other thing that I think is absolutely critical, we'll talk about this with Dak Prescott as well when we get to that, but his willingness to turn it loose. I think when a young quarterback has that willingness, Colin, that's something that's really important because to be a high-level NFL quarterback, there are times in every game where you've got to make difficult throws into tight windows, whether it's versus zone, whether it's man, and there's a small area to place the ball. Trevor Lawrence showed the willingness to do that, and I think that's so critical as he develops.
By the way, that was Andrew Luck. There's a let-it-rip component. You throw some picks early. Peyton Manning would let it rip. You're gonna Big Ben would let it rip. Phillip Rivers, he's going to throw some picks, but that confidence to say, I trust my instincts, I trust my arm, I'm going to let it go. Elway, by the way, people forgot, threw a lot of early picks.
Oh, I remember through his first 9-10 years, he had actually more interceptions than touchdowns, and I think Jim Fossil, it might have been 1993, came in as the offensive coordinator with a different system, and Elway's numbers then really improved dramatically.
Okay, a player that I don't like as much as everybody else, Tua at Alabama. I think he's going to be a pro. I think he's very much out of the stock of Russell Wilson. I don't think he's Russell Wilson. Everybody loves him. I think he's good. I don't think he's a great prospect.
Right.
What do you think?
I watched a lot of him because I think he's going to be polarizing when all said and done. Yeah. And obviously has another year. Keep in mind that they ran a ton of RPOs, run-pass option. Yeah. Almost 30% of their plays were RPOs.
Wow.
And RPOs are more effective in college than they are in the NFL because of the symmetry of the field. The hash marks are wider. There's more space. Because as you know, Colin, the wide side of the field in college is extremely wide, very difficult to cover. So RPOs in college football are really difficult. So I thought Tua was very, very good, in some ways programmed, and I think everything was well defined for him. The reads were defined, the throws were defined.
That's not the NFL.
They're trying to do more of that, but it's obviously not the way it is all the time in the NFL. So I think this is an important year for him. I know people say he's the automatic #1 pick. I don't get caught up in that. I think there are some things he's got to do better. He's a little bit of a pusher the way he throws. He doesn't really torque with his core, so he's not a drive thrower. He does throw a good deep ball, but I think there's things to watch this year that he needs to improve on.
Okay, Jake Fromm at Georgia, I actually like him more as a pro prospect.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys that I think is going to be better when he gets to the NFL. Now, again, he's in a very structured system as well. When you get defensive head coaches and a place like Georgia where they have great defensive players and great defensive talent, and they play with Fromm under center, they may tell him, hey, we don't want to be real aggressive throwing the ball. We don't know that. I certainly don't know that. He was a little cautious, but I think he throws the ball well, doesn't have a gun. It'll be interesting how he's seen when he comes out. Will people say, oh, he's just a system guy who operates a system? But when all's said and done, that's what all NFL passing games are. Every coach has a system, and they want the quarterback to execute the system within the structure of it.
Oregon has a kid named Justin Herbert. I don't like the swings home and away. Can be great at home, so on the road. That worries me. Leaders win on the road. But a talent, He is a huge talent.
Oh, Colin, I watched his 2017 tape last summer because I just assumed he would come out, and he decided to stay. So now I've watched some games from 2018 as well, and he is what you look for. He's big, he's athletic, big arm, can make every throw.
Oh, look at that throw.
Can make second reaction plays. I mean, this kid is really, really good.
I mean, he's mobile, too. He can run.
Yes, and he's probably, I guess he'll probably be 6'5", 230, 235.
God, he's got an arm.
He has everything that you look for. I said after 2017, when I watched his tape, that if he came out this past year, he could be a top 5 pick. And obviously he chose not to come out. Now, I don't know anything about the kid. That's the thing you don't know, and I certainly don't know. But just talent and ability, he's got top 5 talent.
Yeah, he jumps. He makes a throw here. I'll show it. That corner throw he makes is an absolute rifle. I worry about leadership. I hear things about leadership I don't love, but a talent. Now, let's throw one more out there. This was your curveball yesterday. This is the guy. This is our Carson Wentz. Nobody hears about him, and you go out and go, there's this kid in North Dakota. So Jordan Love at Utah State.
Utah State. Yeah, I'm gonna go to my notes on this one as well, because here's what I said. I said that he has the overall skill set to be in the discussion for a top 5 pick in the 2020 draft. He's got arm strength. He's got pace and touch. He threw with precise ball placement.
He's a big kid.
He's got athleticism and movement. He's got second reaction ability. He's a natural thrower. Colin. He's an over-the-top thrower.
Wow.
You don't see a lot of over-the-top throwers. I found this kid to be very, very impressive on film. And what I loved about watching him, Colin, he was virgin territory for me. I was starting totally from scratch.
He's my new number one. Off this 38-second clip. I'll tell you what, he looks, the way he throws the ball, that's like an NFL quarterback.
Oh, without question.
He looks like an NFL quarterback.
He looks the part for sure. As you can see, he's a very comfortable, easy thrower of the football.
Hey, Wentz played in the middle of nowhere. Josh Allen played at Wyoming. John Santamayer, how'd he get to Utah State? There's a lot of good quarterback this whole 7-on-7 stuff in high school now.
Without question.
There's just a bunch of good players. And guess what? He gets to start at Utah State, not back up in Oklahoma.
And I never, even with Wentz, a lot of people said, well, he played at North Dakota State, so I can't draft him high. My response to that is, so if it takes an extra 2 or 3 months, what's the difference? If you think the guy's going to be great,
who cares?
What's the difference if it takes an extra 2 or 3 months?
Right. Let's go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes got to sit for a year, came out last year, all sorts of records. He is a unique arm talent.
Unique.
Do you think it just keeps going?
Well, the numbers, I don't know if he throws 50 touchdowns every year. That's not the point.
Right.
I was kind of pleased, because this is what I saw on tape. I was kind of pleased to hear Patrick Mahomes admit that what he needs to work on this offseason and through training camp is he needs to work on his footwork, and he needs to become more precise.
Do you agree?
Yes, 100%. Now, again, Mahomes is like Aaron Rodgers in the sense that you always feel like you have to qualify everything you say with, he's a great talent. Well, we know he's a great talent. That doesn't mean there's nothing to work on.
Thanks. That's right. That's right.
So what he needs to work on is to become more precise and more efficient with his footwork, his drop back, running the system as it is. You can't, in my view, maybe I'm wrong, but in my view, you can't live on second reaction plays. That's not the nature of the NFL. He is obviously good enough to sit in the pocket and make every single throw, but he's well aware that he needed to work on his footwork and his timing with the route concepts.
Yeah, and Andy Reid's a good teacher.
Without question.
Yeah. Let's talk about Jimmy G. Joey and I always talk about this. If Carson Wentz, we got a problem here.
Yeah.
Jimmy G has now been hurt twice. The last time he got hurt, he didn't get hit. So I like him. I would say, I'll just throw this out. I think his build and athletic ability reminds me of Trubisky, but I think he's a much better thrower.
He is a better thrower.
I like him a lot. Am I overheating here a little bit?
Well, I think one thing people have to keep in mind is he started 10 games in the NFL. It seems like he's been around forever. He started 10 games. So he hasn't even started a full season. So we have to understand that. Now, he's in a great system. Kyle Shanahan is as good as there is in the league at defining throws for quarterbacks.
Now, explain that to my audience. What does that mean?
It means that the route concepts based on the drop, present the primary throw.
So
clearly for the quarterback.
Quarterback has a very easy roadmap on where to throw it.
Relatively speaking. I mean, nothing is easy in the NFL, but relatively speaking.
Okay.
It's why Nick Mullins could go in last year and be functionally efficient, because the offense presents the throws with the route concepts, the protection, the quarterback's drop. So Kyle Shanahan does a great job of that. Where I think that Jimmy Garoppolo needs improvement is a couple of areas. Number one, he can tend to play a little fast in the pocket, get his feet moving a little too much.
That's a very young quarterback. That happens a lot.
And because he has that whip-like delivery, that's great, but then he makes a lot of throws off balance, and the ball placement is not as precise as it needs to be. That's one area he needs work. The other area, and I think this is because of the way he throws, knowing that he's got that whip delivery and a quick delivery, is there are times he just waits a beat too long, and the throw in the NFL, if you wait a beat too long, is late. And late in the NFL, and we're talking millisecond late in the NFL, is late, and that causes problems.
Does he struggle reading? Because sometimes
I think the term I use, everybody likes to use the word process. I use the phrase elimination and isolation. In other words, eliminate what's not there and isolate what is there within the timing of the drop and the route concepts. I think he needs work in that area as well.
Let's talk some Dak Prescott before we get to the big play. He was 7-1 down the stretch against 4 playoff teams. Young people get better. You do reach at some point as a professional athlete, 27, 28, your game is sort of your game, right? And then you just try to hold on to the
He's only going into his 4th year, though.
Okay, he's a kid. So I watched him at the end of the year, and my takeaway was completed 71% of his throws.
Yeah.
He's not a gifted Trevor Lawrence ball whips off his hands.
Right.
But there's something there. He got better.
I think the way I talk about Prescott, and I knew because of the contract situation that I'd watch a lot of him. So I did this summer. I watched a lot of Dak Prescott from last year. I think one of the areas that he needs to get better at, and I don't know if this is in his DNA or I don't know if it's something that can be improved, he tends to be a very cautious thrower. Now, that works when your offense is built around Ezekiel Elliott and your defense is playing really well. He's not a turn-it-loose guy.
So he lacks a little confidence in his arm.
I don't know. I don't know the reason for it. He'd have to tell you that.
Okay.
We don't know the answer to that. The film tells you that there are throws that are there to be made that he doesn't often pull the trigger on, and maybe he checks it down, or maybe he leaves the pocket. But he tends to be a cautious thrower. Now, as I said, that works within the structure of the team. We'll see how the Ezekiel Elliott situation will play out. Maybe Jerry Jones and the staff believe, hey, he's in his 4th year. We're now going to put more on Dak Prescott's plate, and we're going to ask him to take that next step and be an aggressive thrower that's going to be the foundation of what we do offensively as opposed to a puzzle piece. The tape up to this point doesn't show him being that guy, but he's going into his 4th year. It's not as if he's a 7, 8, 9-year veteran.
So let's go to the big play of the week. So let's break down some real film on Dak.
Right. Well, what I chose a play that was against the Giants last year, a game he didn't even need to play, but they opened with the Giants week 1, so I thought it made sense. Okay. And it was a touchdown pass to Blake Jarwin from the high red zone, meaning the 10 to 20-yard line. It was a 19-yard touchdown. So let's take a look at the touchdown, and then we can break it down. Yeah. He threw this touchdown to Jarwin. Jarwin actually caught 3 touchdowns in this game. They were in an empty set, Colin, where there's no backs in the backfield. So what they did here, they faced a Giants defense. They knew they were going to get cover 2. Now, the player at the bottom of the screen is not really a safety, but in cover 2, the player who's the middle linebacker, and here it's a defensive back, but what he's going to do is he's going to open up to the passing strength. There's 3 receivers to the wide side of the field. That's the passing strength. It's 3rd and 9. So number 3 is going to attack him and make him have to defend him because he does not want to give up a 9-yard completion for a first down. So they control the middle linebacker. Now, what that does is that's going to allow Blake Jarwin, who's receiver number 2, to work behind, and they're going to, in a sense, high-low that middle linebacker. So the middle linebacker sits at the first down marker, and there goes Blake Jarwin behind him. So they're defining the throw for Prescott against cover 2. It's an excellent throw, really well designed. It's what we call a high-low concept against cover 2. Really well done, really nice throw.
And I was going to say, great velocity, throws it high enough. So
firm touch, that's the term I would use. You're not driving the ball because you don't want to throw it right at the middle linebacker. It's firm touch. That's a throw that every NFL quarterback, that kind of throw, has to be able to make to succeed in the league.
Got smarter. That's why. Have a great weekend. I'm off tomorrow. What are you doing?
Well, good for you.
You're doing red eye back home?
I'm taking the red eye back home. And
can you sleep on planes?
I'm actually going to a concert tomorrow night.
Well,
Hopefully
what are you going
stay away.
to?
I'm going to see Heart.
Seattle.
You know, when you were 22 years old.
Everybody.
I mean, come on.
Look it up. It's a Seattle-based band, Heart. I think it's the Wilson sisters.
The Wilsons, Ann and Nancy Wilson.
Look at that. This thing never stops working up here.
Hey,
Greg.
come on. Classic rock. You got to love it.
Yeah. Greg Cosell, Joy with the News. Thanks, Joy.
No.